First team, the Philadelphia 76ers. They were the number 1 seed, 49-23 record. What is your idea of this team? They might not have Ben Simmons. What's going to happen? What are you guys thinking right now about this team?
Well, I'm going off the assumption, as of right now, Ben Simmons isn't going to play, and they don't have anybody they got back for Ben Simmons. So this is a team being led by a guy who was in the MVP conversations when he was healthy, Joel Embiid. I feel like he had a strong candidate to be the MVP. His backup mate, Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris put together one of his best consistent seasons, being as he walked into the regular season, he was consistent, and then even in the playoffs. Aside from a few hiccups, he was mainly inconsistent for that. He was mainly consistent for that team. Seth Curry had a great year last year, being that guy, that shooter. Sometimes he played on ball. Sometimes he was one of their lead playmakers. Now, this team, for the most part, they're bringing everybody back. Danny Green is back. Tyrese Maxey, year 2. They drafted Jaden Springer. They have Andre Drummond now, a guy who's comfortable in his role now, backing up Joel Embiid. I think this team's ceiling is probably like a 6-7 seed. Losing Ben Simmons, one of your defenders, your lead playmaker, a guy who, for all the knock we give him, for all the narrative behind it, he's still a very valuable player for that team, especially in the regular season, a guy who can literally do everything aside from shoot the basketball. It's going to be tough. I mean, you have defenders that can definitely fill that void. Matisse Thybulle, Danny Green, guys on the perimeter. Tyrese Maxey's a really good defender for his position. So you have guys that can fill that void. And, of course, the scoring is still going to be there because now it's more spacing for Joel Embiid. You can put out 4 shooters, including Joel Embiid, you have 5. You're not going to be able to double team him. So I think it's good and all in all, but you still, Ben Simmons, that defense, that playmaking, it's going to be a huge loss. So ceiling, I can definitely see a 6-7 seed. I don't see them dropping out in the play-in, though. Like, their floor is the play-in. I still think Joel Embiid is great enough to get them in a play-in or in the playoffs. I don't see them dropping out at that all. But I'm just looking at the roster, losing Ben Simmons is huge, that length, that height, that jack of all trades. So that their ceiling would be a 6 seed for me, and their floor is play-in.
Now, do you definitely believe Ben's not going to play?
I can't give you a definitive answer. I think, and I said it on the pod last week or 2 weeks ago, I think he'll eventually end up playing, but I can only go off of the assumption of today. So as of today, no, he's not playing.
Because
he hasn't even reported to training camp.
My analysis is based off Ben Simmons playing. And because I do believe he is going to play with the 76ers. I just don't think that he's going to sit out and miss out like you guys spoke about. I'm missing out on all that money. And I think he has too much to prove to not play. Because you're only as good as your last performance, and his last performance wasn't the best. And I think him needing to get on the court, him show off his skills, like, listen, you don't think my trade value is here, but I'm still Ben Simmons. So ultimately, I do think he'll come back. With that in mind, Philadelphia 76ers with Ben Simmons' ceiling is the 1 seed. Last season, we saw it. Not many people going into the season thought that the Philadelphia 76ers would be the 1 seed last season. Of course, you looked at the Nets with Kyrie and KD prior to even getting Harden. Nets were probably the favorites to be the 1 seed. Milwaukee, same thing. Their ceiling was the 1 seed as well. Now, with Ben Simmons, with having a chip on his shoulder, having something to prove, their ceiling should be the 1 seed. Their floor for me is probably, with Ben Simmons, 4 or 5. The East is getting talented. The Nets trio now is going to play a full season together. It's possible they're the 1 seed. You look at Milwaukee, same thing. They just won a championship. It's possible they could be the 1 seed. So I'm looking at the 76ers. I'm looking at if the issues aren't mended, that could have an impact on the chemistry of the team overall. But truthfully, I don't believe that it's going to be that big of an impact. I think that Ben Simmons has something to prove this season. I think he's going to be improved from last season to this season. I look for his numbers to go up. I look for his aggression to go up. Because if not, then people are right about him. And I don't think people are right about him right now.
Of course you don't think
I don't.
I don't think Ben Simmons has that drive. Because if he did, he would have never taken the comments of the fans, of the team, personally like he did. He played bad. Simple as that. And
for sure,
if he had that mindset of, okay, I played bad, but I'm going to prove myself now, he would have reported to training camp. We wouldn't have been hearing these reports. This is alarming. I don't think Ben Simmons has that mindset where he wants to be the best player he can possibly be. My biggest question for Philly, who's going to be that third guy? Is it going to be Seth Curry? Is it going to be, who else? Danny Green, Korkmaz? Is Thybulle going to develop?
Are you saying without Ben Simmons?
Yes, without Ben Simmons, because I don't think Ben Simmons is playing. The third guy's probably going to be Seth. Is he ready to take on that type of role, though? I am not sure. The Sixers, without Ben Simmons, are a 15-15 team. They're a 500 team flat. People are going to realize his true value once Philly starts losing without him. And that I think that's a perfect scenario for Philly, right? Because if you're winning without him, well, we can't trade anything for Ben because, you guys are winning. He wasn't that valuable. If they start losing, if they tank to the play-in, going from the 1 seed to the play-in, Ben Simmons' value shoots up.
Definitely.
Oh, you know what? Wow, look at all these advanced analytics. So that's probably best case scenario. I think their ceiling is a 3 seed, though. If Embiid stays healthy, I think they can get there with Tobias Harris scoring 20 a game. Exactly. And my predictions for Philly is mostly based off of Embiid not staying healthy the entire year because we haven't seen it yet. And their floor is a playing team. They are. There's a chance they don't make the playoffs. I think they'll be right there, but this could get really ugly for Philly and for Ben Simmons' camp. This is just a mess of a situation.
Before you give your 2 cents, I want to say my take on if Ben isn't there because you guys are. I'm pretty much on the same track as you guys. Without Ben Simmons, I'm not fully all in on Philadelphia. That being said, Seth Curry being the third option, that's basically what he was last season.
In the playoffs.
For sure, but let's
on offense.
On offense, for sure.
Yeah.
But what else are we really talking about?
Yeah, I'm saying,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I think they'll still have success. I think Embiid's going to be forced to be more dominant. I think Tobias is going to be forced to be more assertive as well. Probably take on some more facilitating role that I don't know if he's probably ready for it. He could definitely do it, but I don't know if he's going to be best suited facilitating the offense. I think Seth Curry is going to be more than capable. We saw him take on more responsibilities last season. He definitely thrived. I think it'll continue on to this season. So I don't think that it's too much of a drop-off without Ben. Do I think they go less than 1? Without a doubt without Ben. If they were without Ben next season, they'll probably drop to around 5 or 6. That'll probably without Ben, that'll probably be their ceiling for me, 5 or 6. I mean, you lose that. Apologize. I didn't say that. You're right. Thanks for helping me out there. No, without Ben, their ceiling is 5 or 6. You lose that defensive presence. You lose that athleticism, that ability. That hurts.
Don't be surprised if we see a Tyrese Maxey breakout. That's
for sure, man.
That's what I think. I've seen a lot of the MIPs. He can be a sneaky dark horse. I think he'll get that starting 1 spot. This is a guy who can defend at a high level. This is a guy who can score. He has that mid-range pull-up. And he's a sneaky underrated playmaker, and they're going to need guys like that to step up and play that position because you're losing one of your best playmakers on your team. So don't be surprised on the Maxey, takeover. But they have shooters still.
Who takes over the point guard role? Would you think?
It's going to be Maxey.
Okay.
Last year, per 36, averaged 18 and 6, around 5 assists ish. Man, this could.
And when he came in during the playoffs, he really sparked the.
I think, and you know what I like about Maxey the most is that I think he does have a killer mentality. I think he is a dog, and he's a great basketball player. He can step up and be that third guy.
Yep.
And I'm glad you say that yet. I'm glad you mentioned that Tyrese Maxey is there because that's somebody I didn't forget about, but I didn't get to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But with their additions that they made, like Drummond and Niang, I don't really see anybody stepping up. I think Niang is a good floor spacer. He's going to be cool. Drummond, he'll be all right. But Maxey is the guy that I think has to take that next step for Philly to at least remain as a threat in the East, somewhat of a threat.
I mean, that's pretty fair. I mean, re-signing Danny Green was also huge for them. You need that 3-and-D type player. He was huge for them when he went out. He was definitely missed. Andre Drummond is interesting because at this point in time, are you taking Dwight or Drummond?
I think Drummond can be a Dwight.
But do you think he can do it as well, the job as well as Dwight did?
He has the physical tools. He has the ability. It's up here. Everything is up here.
I agree with that wholeheartedly because 2020 we saw Dwight have a lot of success with the Lakers. Yep. Drummond comes in, complete opposite to a degree. Mm-hmm. Now they switch roles again. I'm not too confident in Drummond, truthfully.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
I'm not either. I think, but the mindset is you're coming in, you're playing behind Embiid. You didn't get many offers on the table in free agency. Now you have to come in, you have something to prove. I think with him coming off the bench, he can. I'm not buying any stock on it, but I think he can definitely change the mentality with being in the position he's in right now. So it's going to be tricky. But like we said, Tobias is going to have to take on a big role. That 20 points per game is not going to cut it anymore. Mm-hmm. You lost Ben. Now you kind of have to up it up to 22, 23 points. We need to see consistency yet again because Embiid is going to need help. And like you said,
Yeah.
a lot of my thing is banking on what we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
They're
fair.
not being there
Yeah.
and Embiid being injured a lot of the times throughout the season. So if Embiid goes down,
they're toast.
it might be over. They can lose a stretch of games and then they'll have to crawl back in. So Philly's in a tough position right now.
I think a Tyrese Maxey breakout also allows Philly to try to get to offers that don't feature a point guard.
Yep.
I think right now they're fixated on getting an offer that features a guy who can facilitate an offense. Now, if Maxey breaks out, that burden is now relieved. Okay, we can look at a wing option. We can look at maybe a forward to complement and beat a little bit more. So I think it frees them up a lot, the pressure of getting a guard.
I think if Maxey breaks out, then that Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes swap doesn't look too bad because now you have a point guard and you can just bring in scorers and a defensive big in Rashawn Holmes. So it just depends on Maxey, really. It's going to be, it's a lot on his hands right now.
I just don't know yet about him being the third option, truthfully.
Maybe not third, maybe fourth.
I think it could really fluctuate.
He's going to need a lot.
Seth and him.
And I agree, especially if Ben's not going to play. He's gonna get the opportunity to be successful or be put in a position to allow himself to show the team anything. But I just personally, I'm looking at Seth. Seth had a great season last year. I'm only looking for him to continue to improve. Tobias Harris, he needs a little bit more respect on his name. He had one bad game in the playoffs.
Yep.
And it was a bad game for sure, but it's indicative of why they lost. When Embiid goes, you don't necessarily need Ben Simmons to be that aggressive type scorer. But when obviously one of them's having a bad night, they're liable to lose. So I am looking for Tobias Harris to have an excellent season this year, regardless whether Ben's there or not.